Welcome to the Woodbury Word. I'm Wood.
And I'm Dre.
And we are the gentlemen of the Woodbury Collection. First and foremost, as always, we want to thank you all who have been supporting us on the various platforms that you can find the Woodbury Word podcast. Woodbury Collection on YouTube, the Woodbury Collection Facebook page, at Woodbury Collection on Instagram, and the Woodbury Word podcast on Spotify. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and not that it's appropriate, but it is indeed a timely month for mental health awareness as we all endure life anew in a pandemic reality. Mental health awareness is a topic that most don't like to broach, that we sort of brush under the rug, and it is so important to our total health, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. We have to be in tune and have to make sure that we are addressing all aspects of the human, which is one of the things that we constantly stress here at the Woodbury Word. So again, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we just wanted to shed some light on some of the things that we are trying to be intentional about when it comes to our own mental health. How have you been holding up in this pandemic as your mental health is sort of addressed, Dre?
So it's been interesting. As a father, husband, your first thought is, how's the family? And you're concerned about that. You're concerned about your extended family, being your parents, grandparents, folks who fall into some of those pre-existing condition categories, regardless of age. You're worried about them. You're worried about, is there going to be enough food, and is there going to be enough, toilet paper, and can we get our prescriptions, for those who need it? Then you're worried about your job, will your company fold, all of these things. And on top of that, I'm giving you a long answer, but on top of that, the news and the media, you don't know who to trust. You don't know which information is truthful, which is political leaning in terms of re-elections, because this is an election year. And so you don't know if people are really wanting you to go back into church because it's a political ploy, or if it really is safe to go back. And I'm just using that because that's a current topic. But I've been good. A lot of prayer, and not so much to change the pandemic, but to change me, my outlook, how I see things, how I view things, help for, and wisdom for the next moves to make, which is important. I think what we're doing is a part of that, the pivots that we've been talking about. So I've been good because I've allowed myself to just really let go, and to just say, all right, however the cookie's gonna crumble, we'll be good. But we're doing all right, man. But also we're very cognizant that it doesn't take much for that to change. So you're constantly thinking about, what am I thinking? How are my thoughts? Let's address those. Let's attack those. And there's nothing wrong with me if I have a down moment. There's nothing wrong with me if I have a fearful moment. I just can't stay there. So I know that was a long answer to a very simple question. But yeah, that's how we've been dealing with it, man. Seriously, that's how we've been dealing with it. How about you?
Yeah, it's not a simple topic. So I think it sort of requires a more layered, textured answer. Same here. I think one of the things that's interesting about the time that we're in as it relates to our mental health, some of the things that you should be looking out for in regards to sort of keeping an eye on where you are in your mental health and fitness are things that we're all dealing with right now. Sort of long-lasting sadness and irritability. So one of the telltale telltale signs, and with so much change and upheaval in our normal courses of business, it's probably sparked a lot of sadness, a lot of irritability in a lot of people. And you start thinking about triggers that could set off, the domino effect of sort of emotional changes and the emotional roller coaster that folks can be on in these times. That's one of the things that could sort of spark that. So the extreme highs and lows in mood and long periods of sadness and irritability. Social withdrawal is another thing that sort of sparks that downward spiral into sort of mental health crisis. And we're in a time right now where it's almost mandated that you socially withdraw. Thankfully, some states are beginning to phase in sort of not even a return to normal, but phasing in the new normal as what social gathering and business will start to look like, so that some of that social withdrawal will not be as intense as it's been for the last 10 weeks or so. Right. Something else dramatic, changes in your eating habits. I mean, folks have been quarantined. They've been sitting at home, and lots of folks use food as a sort of a coping mechanism. So those are things that when times are good, there's sort of touchstones that you should be watching for when it comes to your mental health and wellness. And they're that much more important, appropriate right now. For us, it's been, again, I tell folks, for me, it's been a little easier because as a healthcare professional, I've been required to continue to show up to my job. So when you start talking about routines, I've come to realize how important that's been for me. The routine of getting up every day at the same time and going in. And although the duties are not exactly the same, but again, I'm in the routine of being of service at my place of employment. So that has helped me tremendously, having that routine. My wife has created a new routine, so I can see that that's helped her as well. But the other thing that we've tried to be intentional about is staying connected with folks, whether it be Zoom calls or phone calls, or speaking to the neighbors outside over the fences. But trying to stay connected has really, really helped us.
Yeah, we've tried to do that as well. And a lot of FaceTime calls with family members, Zooms for birthdays and things of that nature. So we've had to do that. I know there have been moments where the irritability kicks in, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, we have a toddler, and so she's trying to figure out what's going on, and she can get kind of moody. And but it's hard to explain to her that people outside are sick, and so we have to be careful. She just wants to see her friends.
Yeah.
And so trying to explain that, trying to understand her temperament, her anxiousness in terms of wanting to get out and do things. So it impacts all of us, whether we can verbalize it and communicate it or not. We all know in the deepest parts of us that something's different. There's something different about this one as opposed to, other things that have happened. And so coming to grips with that can be a challenge, but I also believe, and not to sound like I'm lacking empathy, the faster that you're able to embrace it, I think will actually dictate how things occur moving forward. Now, that's not scientific. That's just my opinion. But, coming to grips with, okay, this is what it is. What do we do? What's our plan of attack? For me, being someone who has dealt with, panic attacks, anxiety challenges, I'm very aware now of, okay, this is what I need to do to make sure, my thoughts are correct and that I'm not allowing things, as much as possible, that I'm not allowing things to really knock me off kilter. And And so having a plan in place, and I was given tips and tools by, the doctor that I went to go see and, talk these things out with, has really helped. And so if you're in a situation out there and you're having some feelings that you've never had before, or maybe you've had them, but you can better kind of define them now because you have that language and that verbiage to use, please, please, please don't hesitate. Call someone. I believe you can do virtual doctor visits and things of that nature. So please don't use the, hey, we can't go out as a reason not to do it. And if you have trusted loved ones and friends that you can really trust with some of your deepest, darkest, reach out to them and say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm struggling. I just need somebody to listen to me. And, maybe that can help as well.
That's right. That's right. You made two great points there. Number one, the power in talking to someone. My mother is a counseling psychologist, so it was sort of ingrained in us at an early age that there is power and healing in being able to talk through things. And oftentimes, we still feel a way about reaching out to someone. We feel that it's a sign of weakness if I've got to speak to someone who has been trained to help facilitate those types of conversations. But still, we feel the way about having to reach out for that assistance. But number one, it's a tool that's almost immeasurable when you are able to find a therapist or a counselor or a friend that you can talk to unabashedly, without holding back, being able to get some things out and off of your chest. When, as an adult, I was forced to begin to see someone, and it wasn't until I got in that space and it became routine that I began to see the many benefits that came from just taking the time to slow down and talk some things out. But the other thing that you said was having friends to reach out to, and that's of the utmost importance. It's I think I like to think one of my many riches is the gift and the wealth of friendships. I've got some friends that I can call at any time about anything. And, the older you get, it's one of the two things that I've realized as I've gotten older that I'm blessed to have. I'm blessed to have a very close, loving family. Now, that doesn't mean we're perfect. And that doesn't mean we always get along and everyone's always on the same page, but we are unapologetically loving and close. But I've also got these really strong friendships that I can lean on, in times similar to these where, things just may be getting a bit heavy and, I gotta talk this thing out. And I may not want to talk to my spouse, or I may not want to talk to my parents. I may not want to talk to, a sister or cousin, but I've got a friend that I can reach out to. May not want to reach out to a counselor in a specific moment, but those are two very important resources that I think we all need to be able to tap into. Those are both professional counseling and the counsel of good friendship.
And the thing that's important in addition to that is being able to talk to have people that you can share, not just, hey, I'm struggling because I lost a job or something like that. And that's important. I'm not undermining that whatsoever. But sometimes we can have some thoughts that there's no ill intent, but if the wrong person heard them, it could go down the wrong path. And so having people that you can say, hey, I know this sounds, and I don't want to use the word crazy, but I know this sounds weird.
Right.
This is what is going through my mind. And then you let it out. And it can be something about your children. It can be something about your marriage. It can be something about, a variety of things, but you have to have people who no topic is off limits. That's really what I'm trying to say. And other people may be like, I can't believe you thought that. Well, most of us have thoughts that no one would really believe if we really shared them. But you can't hold those things in. But you have to have wisdom on who to share them with as well, because you don't want your transparency and your honesty in that moment to wreck, all these things that you built. So you've got to be very wise in who you're sharing this information with. And perhaps a therapist is the right person, who doesn't know the characters involved or whatever the case may be. But yeah, make sure you find the right people, share your heart, and hopefully, the individuals that are around you, if they really are your friends, will be able to understand the nuance and the complexity in your thought and not judge you for thinking that. That's very, very important.
That's right. That's right. One last thing that I'd like to leave folks with is oftentimes we don't know where to start and how to go about tapping into those resources. Most of us have health insurance that, in the last few years, they've really made mental health a priority. So you've got a resource in your healthcare package through your job, usually, to locate help in an economically feasible way. I think a lot of folks think of having to see someone that's either a counselor or a therapist as an additional expense that they may or may not be able to wing, especially during a time like this. But tap into the resources that you already have. And that's one that I think a lot of folks overlook. Your health plan almost always has a mental health component that is baked in, and it usually works similar to your annual visits in that it's deemed mandatory and necessary. So it's usually not upcharged. Any last thoughts that you have for the people during this month?
Yeah. Because I come from the church background, I want to say this to those who've grown up like me. There's nothing, it doesn't make you less spiritual to go talk to somebody. And that might sound weird to those who've never, confronted this, but there is a stigma sometimes within faith communities about going to see a therapist or a counselor. Please remove that from your mind. Yes, your pastor, your spiritual leader can help you, but everyone can't do everything, and that might not be their strength. So please don't get it in your mind that, if I go to talk to somebody, I don't love God. Please remove that. That's erroneous thinking. But I want to really speak to those who are, come from the same background that I do, same foundation. Go talk to somebody, and go talk to somebody who is trained, who can give you tips. I do some breathing exercises that I learned that kind of help me and calm me down, because it's really about, and I'm speaking to like a panic attack or what have you, it's really about your breathing. The faster you can get your breathing under control, the faster that can kind of subside. And then also, just to everyone else, I heard somebody talk about this the other day, fear, false evidence appearing real. Not to minimize what you're, dealing with. It's not to make light of it, because when you're in it, it feels very real. But just know and have the comfort to know that fear is false evidence appearing real. The word that's most important, false. So keep that in mind as you're going through this. Please take advantage of all of the resources that are available to you. Please use your friends, your trusted friends, trusted family members, also as professionals. Look into the resources that are available, as Wood said, through your job. I've actually used some of those before, and that's how I got introduced to my therapist. So please feel free to do that. We want you well. We're speaking to the real lifestyle of the everyday person. the real is part of that, and so is life, right? So take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health, get plenty of rest if you need to, and just try to enjoy this thing, man. We only get one of these, Wood. We only get one of these lives, man. So we got to make the most of it.
I make the best of it. Absolutely. Yeah. Just if I could leave you with a few quick points, pause when you need to. Just pause and take a moment. Sometimes just slowing down, as Dre said, taking deep breaths is enough to get you back to your center. And then you can begin to move forward. Make some time to exercise and for rest, for proper rest. And oftentimes we get going and we get running and we forget how important it is to get the proper rest that the body needs, the body and the mind needs. Reach out and stay connected to your folks, to whoever helps you process and get through your day and support you in whatever way they do. And again, seek help if you feel like you need to. Don't be ashamed to reach out. And if you don't know where to reach out to a friend who may be able to point you in the right direction. That's all we've got this time, folks. Again, I'm Wood, and we appreciate you.
And I'm Dre. Hey, and as Wood said earlier, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to all of our various channels and avenues that you can get this show. If you're on YouTube, we have a new YouTube channel, the Woodbury Collection. Please find us there. On Facebook, Woodbury Collection. Also on Instagram, you can find us at Woodbury Collection. And then if you're a podcaster, if you want to listen to us podcast, we have Spotify, Apple, Google, all of the various platforms where podcasts are available. We do make this show available through a podcast as well. So please check us out there. Give us your feedback. Give us 5 stars if you don't mind. But we really appreciate you going on this journey with us. We're here. We're going to be here. Keep giving you great content, hopefully adding value to your life. Until next time, appreciate you being with us. Peace.
Peace.